Greetings and welcome to Ancient Current Rastafari Roots and Culture. I'm Sheila Ryan, and today I have with me the Honorable Priest Isaac. It's a privilege to have him here today. He runs the Priest Isaac Institute of Holistic Knowledge and the International Homeschool Program. With his quest for gaining and sharing wisdom and knowledge, Priest Isaac is on the front lines of spiritual warfare. He reveals the mystery of history through his biblical interpretations and the bitter truth of the transatlantic slave trade. Again, it's an honor to have you here today, Priest Isaac. Welcome to Ancient Current.
Yes, I give thanks. I appreciate it very much. And all blessings to you and, of course, your audience and all those who are tuned in. Blessed love, give life.
Yes, sir. Blessed. Can you start out talking about the Priest Isaac Institute and specifically the International Homeschool Program?
Oh, well, give thanks. Well, since you asked that, I think I could start by saying just a few evenings ago, I think it was Thursday evening, yes, I actually had the prize giving ceremony for the 9th annual Priest Isaac's African History Month essay competition. And the reason why I began there is to kind of give yourself and your audience at least an idea of, the mentality that we carry. You see, the reason why we do that essay competition here in Antigua, that's where I am, by the way, the Caribbean in Antigua, is because obviously I think you would know that amongst us as African people within the curriculum that has been prepared for us, meaning the school system and the syllabus and all of that, there's a great void as it relates to African history, heritage, culture, anything of the sorts. So in reality, for at least a decade and a half, I've been advocating, at least through to the Ministry of Education here in Antigua, for some level of inclusion as it relates to African history in their curriculum, but because of whatever reason that has never been taken serious. So about 9 years ago, I decided to start what I consider an extracurricular activity, which is the essay competition. And what I would do, I would gather specific prizes that I believe young people would like, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a digital camera over the years. And then I would ask them to write an essay. And every year, every single year, the essay, the topic is always the same. What does African history / heritage mean to me? Have different groups from junior to intermediates to seniors, running from 7 to 17. And depending on what group they stand in, they would have maybe 350 words or 250 words or 150 words. Sometimes it fluctuates depending on the year. So, but the reason for this, getting to your question really, is that obviously, just the question of the topic, what does African history mean to me? Now, to most children, even though they have African descent, the answer would be, well, it doesn't really mean nothing to me, but there's a reason for that, because no one ever made it their business to make African history relevant to them.
Sure.
But they would love to get the prize. They would love to win the laptop. They would love to win the tablet. So even if they have to go and Google African history, because that's what most of them actually do, they actually go and Google African history, literally Africa and history, to see what they can get. So obviously that means they're starting from scratch. But win, lose, or draw, that's the main objective, to get the child to begin the process of looking into their Afrocentricity or looking into themselves. It may spark, even, let's say you may win the prize and it may not spark a lifelong love for Africa, but someone who may not even have won, but just the fact that they started to do the research, they may have gathered this interest in the what has been inside of them, because it's nothing you're bringing into you. It's something dormant inside of you that we are trying to wake up. So I'm just saying that to somewhat dovetail now even into the homeschool program that we do. It's two different things, but they're like brothers and sisters. They work together. Sure. Because the international homeschool program now that we do, which is more on an international level, as I just said in the name, We began with African history and heritage and astronomy. Of course, anyone that follows me would know I have a serious love for astronomy and the movement of the heavens and the stars and anything that has to do with above the head. And we decided that, you know, as ancient people, we were the first to bring astronomy to the world. So why is it that a subject area of such importance is totally void as well?
Mm-hmm.
And astronomy is African history and heritage. So this is why I created a homeschool program where, and it has been designed for children, you know, between K and third grade, thereabouts. But I always say that the information is ageless. Mm-hmm. You could be 103 and give thanks for your longevity, but our homeschool programs could still apply to you. Once you can just work around me speaking to you like if you're a little child, because my scholars refer to me as Uncle Priest, you know. So once you can get around that, you're going to be getting a wealth of information and knowledge from the homeschool program. But it has been designed for young ones. So if you have a young, even if it's a 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 6-year-old, 9-year-old, 15-year-old, and they are a part of our African history and heritage or the astronomy program, by the time that is completed, you're going to see the obvious difference. As it relates to astronomy, the knowledge that they will be garnered, that they would have garnered from us, it will blow your mind. As far as the African heritage, what that has been designed to do is to, more than just, you know, passing on information. The African heritage program is designed to create a strong appreciation in the heart of a young one for their Afrocentricity. More than just the knowledge, but the appreciation, because the appreciation will guide you even going forward into getting more knowledge because you've been inspired. You want to learn more about your African self. Yeah. And we have also recently added biology to our lineup of subject areas. And in the future, we will be adding more subject areas. And we also have English, which is language arts. So basically, those are the subject areas for now that we carry on the International Homeschool Program, of which the whole team is certified in each of these subject areas. That's one of the reasons that we haven't added other subject areas. But even I myself, I am continuing my studying, and I'm continuing my my accreditation, if you want to put it that way. So everybody is stepping up the ladder. Bless you.
Wonderful. I'm wondering, is there an expiration for any of the videos with the homeschool program? For example, my family is a part of it. I have 3 young girls. Sometimes it's more important to them to argue about who gets the center seat of the video than actually watch the video. And so honestly, we can't keep up. We're not regular. It's something that as parents, we wanted to expose them to, as well as support the Priest Isaac Institute and what you're doing, but we're not on the same speed. And so can these videos for myself or for other people be accessed in years to come through this program?
Oh, yes, definitely. But and even as I said, well, before I even answer that directly, you see, you could also take your own time to it, because the program has been established. It's not like a regular program where you have to finish this in 3 weeks, make sure in 6 months. And no, it's not about that. As I said, it's more from the heart, you know. So that is why, of course, you get your different assignments, and so that you'd have to do. But the main thing is to create a love for the subject area in the heart of the child. So in other words, although the classes may go out, depending on what class you may have, every Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday, whatever the case is, that is for you if you can keep up with that. Once you store that, because it's yours, and you could follow along, even if you contact us 2 years after and said, I just finished this assignment, we will still look at the assignment. And if you say, well, I've completed the whole course, you'll still get your certificate. So it's not like, you know, choke you down like, oh, you got to make sure you complete it by this time or that time. No, because I think as you just said, the information is heavy too.
Mm-hmm.
It's heavy.
Mm-hmm.
It may be done in a childlike manner,
Mm-hmm.
but it's heavy information. So you
Mm-hmm.
may want to give the child some time to absorb the information, But I'm kind of happy. I don't like the fact that they're fighting, but I'm kind of happy that they're jostling for position to see who can listen to see, I must say.
That's great. My 10-year-old actually wanted to know, she asked me if I would ask you where you got your inspiration for all the things that you've studied.
I am an individual that I always wanted to have a clear understanding of who God was. And I came to realize that God is in the midst of all things. In fact, at an early stage, I came across some information saying that the word science means God. I'm not dropping that as a fact, but I remember coming across that and it touched me. But what I've come now to interpret that as science itself can prove God. So God is in biology, God is in physics, God is in chemistry, God is in geology, God is in agriculture, God is in reality, astronomy, cosmology, there's the fingerprint of God is in all things, is within knowledge itself. So this is why knowledge now has become so important to me. Understanding different mysteries and understanding the basic and the integral sciences has become very important to me because it keeps you closer to God. It keeps you closer to nature, of which God is a serious part of nature too. So I would say that was my inspiration. Plus, there's a love in me for teaching and actually teaching what I know. There's nothing I know I want to keep to myself. So when I learn it and know it, I mean, I'd come and say it at the same time, but I'm going to find a way to put it in a nice package so I could bring it to my people so they can know what I know as well. I hope that answers the question.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very good. Give thanks.
So we're in a time where there's a lot of conversation about people waking up. Like that's something that I hear spoken of regularly. People are waking up. And I listened to one of your lectures recently where you touched on that, but you brought this up in a way connected to the 400 years in captivity or in oppression. Can you elaborate a little bit that connection today?
As far as waking up?
Yeah.
After 400 years. Well, okay, I could use the waking up analogy. I could also use the analogy of being sick for you said 400 years, which is historically correct, but I'd like to break it down to 4 days. I always like to say, if you have a very bad fever for 4 days, real bad, whew, what a fever, eh? You're sweating, the bed sheets wet, and maybe, pardon me, but maybe you're vomiting and all of that stuff. Wow, real bad. And on the 4th day, or at the end of the 4th day, the fever came to an end. Like, we test the temperature and everything was back to normal. That doesn't mean you could just jump out of bed and say, oh yeah, well, I'm ready to go again. I can just go back to work tomorrow and I'm going to jog in the morning. No, you'd have to take at least 2 or 3 more days, maybe a whole week to revitalize yourself, to get nutrition and, to make sure you're back in order. So it's similar with our 400 years ordeal. It's more than just a slave ship. When you could think about slave ships, you could think about plantations, you could think about Jim Crowing, you could think about lynching, then you've gone into segregation. And we've been through all sorts of things. And plus the experience for those of us in the Caribbean, maybe a bit different for those of us in Central America, South America, and the US and even Canada. I'm speaking as Black people, but still there's a similar thread that runs through us all. And what I'm saying now, after the end of this ordeal, the fever is gone, yes. Well, that's what they say. The fever is gone. but we have not yet, revitalized ourselves. We have not received the nutrition and the things that we need to get up and start to move as a people once more. And that is why we're still begging for reparation. This is why you see us asking for inclusion and these different things, because we have not really gone back on our feet as yet. As you were speaking about literally being woke, let me use that example quickly. You see, the thing about being woke, a person can be awake and he's still in the bed. You can be awake, you're literally awake, you wake up, but I just can't get out of the bed. That's
Thank
reality.
You. That, yeah.
So just to say you're woke,
that.
What level of awakening are you on? Even sometimes you actually sit up and you're rubbing your eyes, oh, you're waking up. Maybe you go back down. So there are different levels of this being awake. And it takes a lot of work, That is why you see us try our best to hit the root, get the young minds, When we speak to the parents, is hoping just like yourself, You take the knowledge. I'm almost sure, I could be wrong, but I'm almost sure that you got wind of me before your children got wind of me. And you said, hey, this is something I want my children to hear. Everybody doesn't do that. I mean, that's very bad, I say that to my audience all the time. That's very bad. The fact that you would constantly follow up on this information, and yet you do not pass it on to your children. What's up with that? Even to the point where we say, okay, tell you what, we're going to create a little package for the children. The same thing you learn in it, but we're putting it in a children's package. They still overlook that, because a lot of us, we take consciousness and even being woke as entertainment. It's something that, we feel comforted by it. It's like we're watching a movie or we're going to a play or something, but to apply it to real life, to apply it to our daily living, to apply it to the way we eat, to apply it to the way we deal with one another, we are missing it there. That's to me where we're falling short. We're not applying what we learn. And to me, the first step of applying what we learn is to pass it on to the children. Can you imagine you're eating the best food? You're eating, the best fruits, fresh vegetables, nice green juices, and your little children, they're having a bowl of cereal, cornflakes with milk. And then this, so why are you eating that? And they're eating that. Oh, well, they don't like what I eat. That's what they want to eat. Yeah. How old is she again? Oh, she's going to be 4 in October. Oh, all right. No, and to me, even in the conscious realms, that's the attitude that we have. We somehow, we're not finding the ways to pass it on to the younger generation, even our own children. Even our own children. Well, as I know, you know that we have youth university. My children, the prince and the princess, we pass it on.
That's wonderful. Blessed. Can you share a little bit about Radio Anu, is it? And the Tiger's Nest? Is that correct? Can you share about that?
It. Well, Radio Anu is the international flavored universal spice. Just to tell you a bit about why Anu too, as I'm sure you would know, I have a book entitled Anu. But Anu, because some people call it Radio Antigua, which is not really what the name is, because Antigua, the abbreviation for Antigua is ANU, which is Anu. But anyone who is in any knowledge, they would know Anu is a very ancient word. Anu is one of the ancient names for God, So when we created the radio station, because I've been in radio, in fact, I started my journey in radio itself, before I was a lecturer, before I was a writer, before I was anything that you see me do, I was a radio announcer first and foremost. So radio has always been in my heart, So when I established the radio station, I decided to name it not necessarily off of Antigua, but the whole spirit that is around me, because the Anu spirit moves with me. So that's hence the name Radio Anu. And then the tiger's nest now, as you were asking, you know, as I always say, there are many, 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 many lions' dens, but there's only one tiger's nest. And the tiger is really one of my spiritual animals, definitely. Well, I have a few. I have three spiritual animals that I'm aware of, but the tiger is the most closest to me. So hence the tiger's nest. But the tiger's nest is a spiritual term, though. I see some people that jump up, oh, tigers don't live in nests. I think they're missing the point. You know, if you go to Bhutan, you would see the original tiger's nest, with all due respect, perched on the side of the hills. It's like a monastery for monks, the tiger's nest. So it's really about anciency, really. It's not, and the tiger that created the tiger's nest really had wings too. But of course, that's legend and fable, but it still works with me. So hence the tiger's nest, and hence Radio Anu, all a part of the Priest Isaac Institute of Holistic Knowledge.
Wonderful. And are these things that can be accessed online for the general public, not specific to any of the programs that you have?
Definitely. Well, everything is housed in, well, of course, you know, I have a presence on the YouTube, that's for sure, Priest Isaac. But as far as, you know, the Tiger's Nest, Radio Anu, everything is basically housed in the website, priestisaacinstitute.com. Not there now. It's the Priest Isaac Institute of Holistic Knowledge, but the website is priestisaacinstitute.com. No there, no apostrophe S's, priestisaacinstitute.com. And when you go on, Radio Anu will be available. A lot of our videos are also available too. I think we have some of the classes available as well, you know, that people could view for themselves, if I'm not mistaken. And many other things we have there on the website. You know, a person could come and check holistic foods, redemption healing, Rastafari experience Antigua, because we do a lot of hikes and tours. Upcoming June upcoming, we're going to have a summer solstice experience here in Antigua. That'll be something that would be good for yourself and your team to come along and join us.
That'd be so nice.
Yeah, man, trust me, we're definitely going to be having a grand time, you know, coming off of the whole COVID stuff. In fact, just 2 weeks ago for the spring equinox, we had our first official international hike since the COVID started, because the other times we were just doing it virtually. So for those who do not know, here in Antigua, we have a hill by the name of Green Castle Hill. And Green Castle Hill specifically is a hill that has countless of megaliths, volcanic rocks that literally align with the movement of the heavens, that literally align with the movement of the stars. And, you know, it's a bittersweet story behind of it. That alone is a subject by itself, because it's a hill that has been used, it's been quarried. I would like to say it's been destroyed, at least since 1963. Don't get me wrong, although if you see it, you would see the amount of damage. Yes, a lot of damage has been done to the hill, but the hill is so vast that I don't know when they could totally destroy that. It will take at least a couple 100 years. But that's not the point. Even the little that they're doing now to such a precious monument needs to stop. So my advocacy as it relates to Green Castle Hill is going, again, maybe more than 15 years, almost 2 decades, you know. It's a very special place in Antigua that you'd be surprised most of the people here don't know about. It is because of our educational drive why people are now becoming aware of Green Castle Hill. But there's no place on the planet like it. It's referred to as the Stonehenge of the Caribbean. And it was the colonial people that gave it that title because they knew about it. In fact, there's a burial, there's a grave site on the top of the hill that was from one of the former colonial governors. One governor, Governor Baldwin, his name was. And the point is that he had an understanding of the importance of the alignment of the rocks and the stars, etc., etc. So that is why he made sure that when he died, that they would specifically bury him at the top of that mountain, because just like in ancient Kemet, you know, there was a great understanding of being buried amongst the stars and amongst the alignments. So we're going to be having a wonderful summer solstice hike. Once a person, you know, keeps close to the website, they'll be getting more information about that. The experience is like about a 7-day experience. When you come to Antigua, we have 2 hikes: an evening hike where we see the sunset, and a morning hike when we see the sunrise, especially since it's going to be the solstice. Every solstice and equinox, we do these special hikes.
Beautiful.
Plus, we also have the cannabis tour, where, of course, in Antigua, there's a little bit of leniency in comparison to the rest of the Caribbean, as it relates to marijuana, especially with Rastafari. In fact, Rastafari is totally exempt from any persecution when it comes to marijuana. So we have taken the advantage of that.
Good.
And we can legally invite people to come to Antigua to go and sample our marijuana products. Wonderful. And see what we have available. That's plus great. Our island tour and so many other things in the package. But as the time gets closer, I know you'll be getting the information, and you could even share it with your audience. And yeah, and looking forward to see as much people as possible.
That sounds wonderful. I have another question about Bobo Shanti. Can you explain that a little bit?
Bobo Shanti.
Yeah, just for exposure, I guess, for people.
Of course, yes, good bad. Well, the Bobo Shanti concept, really, as an official group, it's the Ethiopia Africa Black International Congress Church of Salvation as an official group. And Bobo Shanti, I wouldn't say a byword or by title, but our agency, African agency. But we are in the realms of Rastafari. Now, anyone that knows Rastafari in general, you know Rastafari. This is my opinion, and not all ones agree with me, but Rastafari is a very broad thing. And Rastafari is a liberation movement. Yes, within the midst of Rastafari, you have different organizations. Rastafari is one, but then you still have those who deal more with the political aspect of it. You have those who deal more with the churchical aspect of it. So Rastafari does have its diverse, sections as such. So you have the 12 tribes of Rastafari. You have what they call the Nayabingi theocracy of Rastafari, even the Orthodox. And you also have the EABIC, which is the Bobo Shanti order. Now, the Bobo Shanti order being a priesthood order specifically, what stands out is that we are Sabbath keepers. We definitely keep the Sabbath. That is like one of our foundation order. Every Sabbath, we put on our whites from the sunset Friday to the sunset Saturday. That's our Sabbath day. Even our expression, you would notice as Bobo Shanti, the banner that we carry, our Ethiopian banner, is more aligned with the ancient Ethiopian banner than maybe the more modern day one. So you would notice our red is always on top and the green below. It's not a matter of right and wrong, Anyone who argues about the right and wrong, no offense to them, is just a bit ignorant of history, because the Ethiopian empire would have flown that flag with the red up. It's just a matter of what time in history and for what reason it's not so anymore. But we as Bobo Shanti, we fly the banner with the red up. We also exalt the Honorable Prince Emmanuel Charles Edwards, more so than any other groups of Rastafari. King Emmanuel, also known as Prince Emmanuel, is one of the is many the word, let me use many, one of the many elders, from the early days, which would have really struggled and even suffered to bring this thing to fruition as we know it today. But we as Bobo Shanti, those of us who have accepted this, we have come to see the Honorable King Emmanuel Charles Edwards specifically as more than just an elder, but as the Black Christ in flesh. And it is he who would have brought us all these different principles and ordinances that you see we practice. So basically, as Bobo Shanti, you would say that's the difference. You could clearly see even our outfit, our uniform would be the robe and turban as a man. The empresses usually wear the fall and of course the long robe or the long skirt, etc. And basically that's it. We have a few little different principles, like our sacred days. We celebrate the regular sacred days, of course, the Emperor's Earth Day, which is the 23rd day of July. Well, I don't think I have to say that Rastafari hail Emperor Haile Selassie I as the Most High,
Yes,
you know, in general. And of course, Marcus Garvey, we celebrate Marcus Garvey Earth Day and a lot of other days. But there are few days that we as Bobo Shanti celebrate. You would not find other Rastafari celebrating it. For example, the 7th of February, that is our new year. Yeah, the 7th of February. Our Congress Day is the 1st of March, which aligns with the Battle of Adwa. And even now, we're going through a Lenten period, which will come to an end on Good Friday, which we consider resurrection. So these are some of the unique aspects of Bobo Shanti.
Cool. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share today?
Oh, well, give thanks. That sounds like the hardest question of them all. Well, you know, well, since we're on that Bobo Shanti aspect there, I think I would just kind of add something to that. Because, you know, the same way you asked that question, I know there was a interview when King Emmanuel was asked the same question. And if I'm not mistaken, his answer would have been freedom, redemption, and international repatriation. But one of the things he always highlights, especially when questioned about, okay, I mean, so what's the main principle or what's the real objective? It's really all about love. And we always seal with 7 words of love. God is love, so let us all love. I know love is a love like the word God. It's misunderstood as a word. And I think we tend to misuse these words, but these are 2 very powerful words. Even, in fact, love is really God. You don't have to go too far in your mind and try to break down love to its minute detail. I think everyone has a basic idea of what love is. You don't have to look into a dictionary. You have to know that love is obviously, I wouldn't label it as a feeling, but the feeling is one of the components of love. I wonder if you follow what I'm saying. So for you to care, to share, to have sympathy, empathy, and just love for humanity and want to see everyone happy, to me, that is supposed to be everyone's mission. And how you or your goal, maybe I should say your goal, and then you put your targets and your mission in order to get to that goal, that we all could live in love. I don't know what else we're trying to do, but if we could live in love, I think everything else will stand into place, not fall into place. We don't want nothing fall right, stand. If we all could just live in love, not just by saying it, you know, saying it is an easy thing, but doing it. And again, you don't need no professor's course to learn what love is. It's in your heart. Every animal knows how to love the other animal. We have an idea, even if you don't know it in detail, because it is complex. It is complex, but it's still simple. So God is love. Let us all love. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yes, good. Thanks. Beautiful. Thank you all for tuning into Ancient Current Rastafari Roots and Culture. Today, I've been speaking with the Honorable Priest Isaac, where every month is African History Month. Thank you so much, Priest Isaac, for being here today and for sharing. Blessed love.